The April 3rd, 2025 regular session of the Clarksville City Council is now called to order. Yaritza Fontanez of Refuge of Love Church will be our chaplain of the day. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilman Marquis. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to stand if you wish. And Pastor Fontanez.
Let's pray. Almighty God, we come before you today, seeking your guidance as we gather to address the challenges and opportunities facing our city. May wisdom and discernment be granted to each member of this council, that they might act with integrity and fairness in all their deliberations. May our discussions be marked by respect and understanding, and may we find common ground in our pursuit of the common good. We pray for the well-being of all residents of Clarksville, that our city might be a place of peace, prosperity, and justice. May your love and grace be with us as we work together to build a better future for our community. We ask this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Members, please register your attendance. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
All members are present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have an extra special recognition today. The chairman of the Tennessee Military Institute Children's Compact Commission and Ward 2 City Councilman Deanna McLaughlin. You are recognized in the well.
Thank you, Mayor. Will you please join me?
Be happy to.
Okay. Oh. I feel like last year you had to be the equipment manager.
You're hurting it if I'm.
Oh. Yay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you all for being here tonight. We have a special recognition. April 1st begins Month of the Military Child, where we recognize and honor the children who sacrifice day to day as their military service member parents serve our country. And a lot of times people don't understand why purple is the color. If you take all of the colors of the branches of service and you mix them all together, you get the color purple. And so we traditionally have done this for the last several years. As the mayor mentioned, I'm the governor-appointed commissioner to the Military Interstate Children's Compact. What that is a law in all 50 states and Washington, D.C. that protects the educational credits of military children as they transfer 6 to 12 times in their K through 12 careers. So if you're coming from Colorado to Tennessee, we will not make you take Tennessee history if you took Colorado history, et cetera. And so there are 50 other people like me that represent each state, and we work together for our kids. And as a former military spouse and a mother of a military child, I know what you all go through, uncertainty, and honestly, I don't think that any of us could be in a better community than Clarksville and Christian County as far as military families go. We're very fortunate. Tonight we have Colonel Midbury with us. He's the garrison commander from Fort Campbell. He also serves on our state council. And we have the school AOS officers from Fort Campbell, Laquiva Garrett and Karen. We also have Kelly Sarles, the director of MWR, Susie, who's everywhere, some other representatives and advisors for the youth programs on post. And then we also have some youth ambassadors from Fort Campbell. And if you would all come up, and join me while we read this proclamation. And Mayor, is it okay if I read the whole thing?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's an important month.
Okay. Proclamation, Month of the Military Child. Whereas April is designated as Month of the Military Child, a time to honor the sacrifices made by military dependents worldwide. And whereas the Department of Defense has honored the initiative since 1986, when Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger established April as Month of the Military Child. And whereas, while their parents prepare for deployment, respond to natural disasters and man-made threats to our homeland, military children serve on the home front. And whereas they offer their support and understanding to loved ones whose commitment to their nation sometimes means missed birthdays, sport events, and milestones. And whereas Fort Campbell today blesses our community with more than 22,000 courageous military dependents. In honor of all of our military children, we ask you to purple up for military kids on April 16th, 2025. Now, therefore, I, Joe Pitts, you, Joe Pitts, Mayor of the City of Clarksville, at the request of and in conjunction with Councilperson Deanna McLaughlin, do hereby proclaim April 2025 as Month of the Military Child. I'd like to invite all citizens to join in and help honor all of our military children throughout our community and around the world. Signed, Mayor Joe Pitts. Can the council stand for, okay, picture? You all want to come up too? Okay. Come on.
All right, and 1, 2, 3. Oh, I didn't get Brian.
Don't run over Susie.
And 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Yes. Thank you all. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Hope you don't have school tomorrow either. Okay. Oh, do you have plans? She just has to work. Yeah, you guys have to. Okay. Thank you.
All right, we're now ready for the Planning Commission report. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Clerk, will you please read the ordinances before us?
Ordinance 66, 2024-25, first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the City of Clarksville, application of Bill Mace for a zone change on property fronting north of westbound I-24 right-of-way and south of Tylertown Road, approximately 760 plus or minus feet east of Trenton Road and Tylertown Road intersection and across from Roscommon Way, from C4 Highway Interchange District to C2 General Commercial District. Ordinance 67, 2024-25, first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the City of Clarksville, application of Rick Rita Home Builders Incorporation for a zone change on property north of West Concord Drive from R2 Single Family Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Ordinance 68, 2024-25, first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the City of Clarksville, application of Hunter Wynn for a zone change on a partial fronting on property south of Slade and Circle from R1 Single Family Residential District to R2A Single Family Residential District. Ordinance 69, 2024-25, first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the City of Clarksville, application of Hunter Wynn for a zone change on a parcel fronting on the south frontage of Tinytown Road, south of the Tinytown Road and Pembroke Road intersection from R1A Single Family Residential District to C2 General Commercial District. Ordinance 72, 2024-25, first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the City of Clarksville, application of F&M Bank for a zone change on property located east of Old Russellville Pike, north of Stone Container Drive, from M3 Planned Industrial District to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. Ordinance 73, 2024-25, first reading, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Diane Clevenger, Pink Staff, for a zone change on property fronting on the east frontage of Fantasy Lane, 325 plus or minus feet, north of the Fantasy Lane and Candlewood Court intersection from R1 Single Family Residential District to R3 Three Family Residential District.
Councilman Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Madam Clerk. Mayor, I move that we go into public hearing.
Motion been made and properly seconded to revert to public hearing without objection. We are now in public hearing. It's kind of loud. All right. All right, the first item on our public hearing agenda is item A, ordinance 66, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Bill Mace. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of ordinance 66? If you would, please give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. I'm Stanley Ross, 308 South 2nd Street, Mitchell Ross, County PLLC, and I'm here representing the applicant on this zoning request. We are asking you to approve a zone change from C4 to C2. And I know there were some questions last week about what the use is going to be. Just to answer that, we do plan to do a mixed use of retail along the Tylertown Road frontage, and behind that would be multifamily residential. Just a little bit about the site. We're not asking to rezone the entire tract that the applicant owns there. And part of this site that we are asking to rezone is going to be used for drainage area. If there are any questions about the drainage, we haven't done a lot of engineering work yet, but the site does have an injection well, or will have an injection well on it, so water is going to be handled on site. It's not going to be going somewhere else. And some of you may remember this property. It's come up before. It was the proposed Bucky's property. Now we're asking to go from C4 to a less intensive use, which is C2. And I know when we hear multifamily, a lot of people, it sets off red flags. But in this case, we're actually reducing the intensity of the use. The RPC is not in favor of that reduction in intensity. And I think that just to kind of point out that is the case, the street department made their comments. They're familiar with how zoning works. They know what's allowed in C2. And their comment was, no traffic assessment required due to reduction of potential trips and city project to widen Tylertown Road. In the Planning Commission meeting, the staff made the comment, street department's not requiring a traffic study because we are reducing trips by going to this zoning. The RPC is advocating for that more intense use of C4. I think that it's not really as viable here as it could be. I know there's been some hope that there would be a hotel or something like that go there. Hotels are not really marketable at exit 1 because all the major franchises have their flags at exit 4. They're not going to compete with themselves there. So this property's been marketed as C4 for 20 years, and it's still empty right now. The RPC is asking for that more intense use, and the reason they're asking for that is they've got a future land use opinion map. And that is, keep in mind, that's an opinion map. It's not set in stone. There's not a rigid adherence to that that's required. But what they want to see there is a regional commercial area. And they want to see uses accommodating larger commercial and employment centers that serve the greater region with high-density residential. High-density residential with density greater than 16 units per acre. We are less than 16 units per acre. So the commission is saying, we don't want you to do this. We want uses that have, generate lots of traffic. We want uses that have high density residential in this place. And we're right across from a subdivision, a residential subdivision, I believe is Avalon. The C4 uses are not going to be as compatible with that subdivision. You're going to have things that could be open 24 hours. Trucks pulling in, noises, lights, all that kind of thing right across the street from this residential subdivision. So I don't really know that it's appropriate. And in fact, my understanding of what Director Tyndall said at the informal session was if this were on the property next door that's zoned C4, they wouldn't have a problem making it C2. So I think that that is all kind of factors we need to consider in that we're actually reducing the intensity here. And just kind of to add to that, we've had this Bucky's project come up. That was going to use this entire strip that the Planning Commission wants to leave as C4. And my understanding is that it couldn't go through because the infrastructure couldn't handle it. But the RPC wants to maintain that existing zoning that couldn't have been handled before. So we're asking that you approve a rezoning to C2 to allow the applicant the ability to kind of get some use of the property. I'll be happy to answer any questions you've got. We're not very far along in the engineering process, so I don't have a lot of numbers. I'd have to rely on the Planning Commission's estimates on unit numbers, that kind of thing, but I will answer any questions that I can.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. We have some. Councilman Shekinah, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Sir, I have two questions for you. You talk about C4 and less intensity going to C2.
Yes, sir.
So under C4, you can't put apartments there, right?
That's correct, yes, sir.
And then the next question, under C2, you can put 300 apartments, 300 units there.
If that is the Planning Commission's estimate, that's what I would have to rely on, yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Lovato, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Correct me if I'm wrong, just to go back to the previous speaker, but I thought that the number was 400 is the number of units that they would be able to put there.
The Planning Commission's estimate that they stated at the informal meeting last week and at the Planning Commission meeting was 300. I believe Councilman Streetman extrapolated the maximum number.
Because she was defining the difference between the historic numbers and the math on the division and what that would be. But my questions are, how many apartments are they planning on putting?
I don't have numbers yet because we haven't gone through that engineering process to the fullest extent that we can yet.
Okay, so if they max out on the number of apartments that they're putting there and they have 400, what is the plan to help them turn left onto Tylertown, which cannot handle this traffic, by the way?
Well, I think the road's being widened to 3 lanes. I think a turn lane's going in, so that's all gonna affect that. Additionally, I think as the site plan process goes along, there's probably going to be some looking into that, which I think would require work with the street department and the engineers to work with that. But with an intense C4 use, you're still going to have a lot of people coming and going, and potentially 24 hours a day, depending on what's there.
And I would not be in favor of that either. However, as someone who lives right there near the Tiny Town and Trenton intersection, turning left on any of those roads is basically impossible. Tylertown is already inundated with commercial traffic that really shouldn't be on it, such as semi trucks. Everyone is familiar with our favorite guardrail and how often it is taken out. So I cannot see how, without the developer planning for another intersection, but you're saying that you don't even have a plan, so you don't have an answer for me.
It's that is the case, and I think that as that's obviously going to require work with the street department, which doesn't occur until that site plan approval process begins. Now, one thing I would point out is C4 truck stops. If you're concerned about commercial traffic and trucks in that intersection, that's what you've got with C4.
And I understand that too, but that area cannot handle 400 apartments right there. It just can't. My other question is, you brought up the injection well. There were multiple injection wells in that area off of Tylertown. We're literally looking at it with Woodstock. The rain is highlighting all of this as we speak. There are injection wells already in the area that cannot support the current flow. Why would your injection well be any different to help with drainage?
This is not something to help drainage somewhere else. This is saying this injection well is for this property and the surrounding properties, and it contains the water on that property. It's not a situation where we're saying move water that's flooding over here to our property. We're saying we're handling our own water. Now, at some point that may take more, but it, it may take on more water from another property that may be upstream, but, it handles its own on this particular piece of property.
Respectfully, we're all hyper aware of the injection wells in that area right now, and we're all hyper aware of the fact that they're not handling their own right now, and that's why we have a lot of the issues that we have. And so my concern is if we develop that and we pave over that, and now we have even more runoff, what are we doing to the folks on Samantha Lane who already have drainage issues? What are we doing to the people on Roscommon who already have drainage issues? So I don't have any more questions, and I really do appreciate you coming up and doing the best you can. I understand that you don't have numbers because you haven't gone through the whole planning process yet. But I am a no vote, and I hope that the other council members are as well.
If I could respond to one comment, C4 is going to, if you've got an apartment, you may have some open spaces included with that kind of thing. C4, you put in a truck stop, something like that. Everything that goes in there is going to be a non-permeable surface, so.
And I completely agree with you on that, and I really hope when it comes to the site plan that the RPC is listening and that they'll decline that site plan as well. That's all I have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So the common theme is that a lot of us are concerned, based on our comments last week, that under a C2 zoning classification, the maximum density of R2 is always an option. And we're hoping that during the rewrite of the planning, the zoning guideline, that they pull that out, so that's not an option. So we're not voting for something based on what someone's telling us. I honestly would feel better if you guys were bringing forward planned unit development where we knew exactly what was going to go in there, how many apartments, how many commercial uses, et cetera, where you present a plan, we know exactly what's going to happen with maybe a 10% variance so that we know for sure what the maximum capacity of apartments or mixed use would be in that area. But the way that it's presented now, the unknown is too scary for us. And I can't support it like this, but if it does fail, if you'd speak to your client and maybe talk about a planned unit development where we know exactly what we're looking at, that would probably help me be able to make a better decision.
I can certainly pass that along.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Just in regard to a few things that you said, yes, what was referenced by the councilperson for Ward 12 is that because there is 25 acres, that at 16 units an acre, you could fit 400 units, 400 units in there. So that's where that number came from, because you could, even though historically it's been based on that, it could be 300, it would be around 300. Again, that possibility is there based on how it was done. I know you mentioned that if it stayed under the current classification, then you could have 24-hour businesses in there. I don't know if you've taken a look, though, at what's open in C2. And granted, it's stated that apartments are what's planned. But, of course, we could do the zoning, and 2 months later, after 2 readings and it's approved, it could be sold and go to anybody to do something different with. And some of the things that are available under C2 is, of course, bar or nightclub, which would be late at night. Not 24 hours, but still something that could be there at night. It does allow for convenience stores. So I know you mentioned truck stops, but a convenience store would be just as busy, would be bringing the semis in just as well, because that's what you got to do to get the gasoline in there. You could have grocery stores. So and we know grocery stores can be 24 hours as well. So there's really a lot of opportunity that could bring that in there and create quite a bit of traffic in and out of there. So I just kind of wanted to clarify that in regard to the statements about bringing in something 24 hours and why this would be better to change. That part's really kind of, a washout with the two things with the things that you could have there as a C4 versus a C2.
Well, I think if you go through and look at the C4 uses, they will, I as a homeowner, I would find the C4 uses to be much less palatable than I would the C2 uses, would be kind of my position.
Really, many of them are the same. The only difference is those apartments. And so, but if you look at the list, really, you could have the majority of the same things in one that you can have in the other. The concern that is before us all is the fact that you could have those the unknown thing of how many apartments could we have in there, and knowing that we could have up to 400, creating anywhere from 800 to 1,000 cars that could be coming in and out of there. So like I said, I think you kind of wash on the other things.
I do think there are, I mean, our C4's got things like, RV parks, homeless shelters. I mean, there's a litany of items there.
I'll keep looking at my list and verify that. It's a long list of things that we have, and if so, I can clarify that for everyone, for the public as well as the council. But like I said, looking through my list, you have a lot of similar things that could go there.
Councilman Chandler?
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I'm torn between this, and the main reason is, basically we're being asked to choose a lesser of two evils. Leave it like it is, and it could wind up being a truck stop. You know, I agree with Councilwoman McLaughlin. If I had a little more instead of just a blank saying, well, this is what we might do. I was on the council before for 4 years, back on it, and that's where I have my biggest problem is. And every one of us sitting in here know that, well, we might do this. And 6, 7 months down the road, well, we didn't want to do that. So we're allowed to do this. And, you know, it's overwhelming for me to think that they thought about putting a Buc-ee's in there. And if anybody has ever been to a Buc-ee's, you know, Lord, the parking lot's full 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I don't think either vote, for or against, is going to stop any commercial traffic. It's confusing, and you know, I just at this point right now, it's a flip of a coin, and but I'm afraid to leave it at. Okay, we'll just leave it at C4, and then somebody come in there and put something that's going to be even worse than the C2.
I understand, and a lot of when I do zoning work, a lot of the things I hear are, the exact thing. Well, you may say you're going to do this and it's going to change. With C4 and whatever, this decision, you have the same risk with C4 as you do with C2, because those uses are those uses, and if they're compliant, then they can be done in that zone.
Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions for Mr. Ross? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 66? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 66? Now ready for item B, Ordinance 67, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Rick Rita Home Builders. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of Ordinance 67? If you would, give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Hello, City Council, Mayor. My name's Ricky Rita with Rita Homes. I'm here today on the rezoning of West Concord. We now have a lot that can have 2 houses built on it. I don't know if anyone's aware of that. This has been platted a long time ago by the same seats that sit here 10, 20 years ago. They recommended this to be a subdivision. They recommended the R4 to be next to it. It is what our city council put out there. It's what they built. I choose not to build 2 houses on it. I would like to go with the regional planning. I would like to go with their recommendations on the plans that they set forth for the city of Clarksville. They approved it. The board approved it. Everybody approved it. It's coming here today in front of y'all, and I feel that it's a deflection of a zoning issue when it's more of a flooding issue. And the flooding's not on any of these people back here. It's not on me. It's on you guys. It's on the street department. It's on the Mayor Pitts. There's no plan to fix Shawnee Terrace, Ashby Road, Bunker Hill, Saratoga, West Concord, Kirby, Haven, Fire Department 6 station. It's as close as it's ever been to going underwater. I've lived here since 1969. I grew up in these woods. I played in these woods. It's a deflection, guys. It's a deflection about votes. It's a deflection about, I don't really know what it's about, but the problem lies right here. We have a budget coming up, and there's no budget for the stormwater basin, sinkhole, stormwater runoff. You guys don't have a plan. They want to gather up 100 signatures. They want to get people to stand in here and go against this when it's really a deflection. Let's get a plan to fix that basin down there off Bunker Hill. It's fixable, and it's not going to be a mosquito pit. Peters Mill Road used to flood. I got 10 years with the city, 9 years, 8 months. I worked for the city. We fixed Middleton subdivision from flooding. Peters Mill Road went underwater. I fixed it. I fixed it with other gentlemen. Imagine going into Bunker Hill, into that basin, digging out the sinkhole, measuring to the bottom, and measuring to the top of the ground, and putting a mindset to taking 5,000 loads of dirt out of there. You're not creating a pond. It's still going to drain in that hole. You're holding more volume. I went by there this afternoon. It's already full. It needs fixed, and you guys need to fix it. It's not about this zoning today. I don't really want to put a house on my property at this time because the problem lies right here. Right here. I would like to see y'all bring a budget up, and when we talk about stormwater, it's not for the pipes in the street. It is solely for basin, sinkhole, stormwater runoff. That hole is fixable. We should be in there now fixing it. Everyone, not everyone, there's a couple city council that want to jump on the bandwagon and go against the system that they helped build. Get in there. Fix that hole. Get the dirt out. The city owns that basin. You have property in New Providence that's got deep gullies. Take the dirt there. There's a fix. But when you don't call and you don't come to the professionals, how do you know what the fix is? That regional planning committee, it's built of professional, it's built of citizens that know what they're doing. They're in developing, they're into building. Please listen. I'm asking for this vote today, and I'm asking for y'all to fix your problem. These homes don't have to go underwater on Kirby. They don't have to go underwater. They didn't go underwater in the 80s and the 90s. Think about how many cars have driven down 41A. How many thousands of tires have wore out on that highway. That tire dust don't go away. It's in that basin. Those rotted trees are in that basin. Clean your basins out and don't blame it on our property. It's stepping on our rights when you don't develop our property and let us do what is written in the codes. You have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Councilman Lovato, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Rita, we agree that there's a drainage issue that can be fixed, and I absolutely agree that the developers should have a say when the city is planning. My issue, and for the record, real quick, you won't get my vote today. It will be a no vote because this property sits on a FEMA flood zone. Is it your statement today that there is a fix for a FEMA 100-year flood zone?
Is that a question?
It is. Is that your statement that you can fix a 100-year flood zone?
Yes, ma'am. That 100-year behind us is fixable. My property, I wanted to put 5 apartment doors on the setback of the road. Everyone that was talking to me knows I only wanted 5 doors. I don't want to push all the way back. That FEMA hole back there it is fixable. It'll still be a FEMA, but you can hold that water.
My concern and my issue and why I will be a no vote is I have not seen anything that backs that statement up that there is a fix for a 100-year flood zone. If it was a man-made basin, if it was an injection well, it'd be like, okay, maybe there's a fix in the future. But there's not for the 100-year flood zone. February 15th, we saw our 100-year flood zones be exceeded by 100 feet and 200 feet in some areas. Our 100-year flood zones aren't going backwards, they're extending. So what is this property going to look like in 10 years when Clarksville continues to get more rain than it ever has? What are future homeowners going to be dealing with? And those future homeowners who are going to be flooded by that 100-year flood zone, they're not going to be coming to you and upset with you. They're going to be coming to the city and upset with city council members. So that was more of a rhetorical question. I'm a no vote because of the 100-year FEMA flood zone. I do not believe that there's an adequate solution that would protect future homeowners on that property. I'm really sorry. I know that puts you in a bind, but that's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Rita, you said that you know that there's nothing addressing stormwater in the FY 25-26 budget. Have you seen that? Because I haven't.
No, but I've spoke with enough council people and know that there's no budget coming forth for the July 1 stormwater basin sinkholes. And that's what you guys should be in front right now instead of fighting these zonings.
We haven't seen a budget
Fix
yet.
your
We don't
problem.
get it until the first Friday of May. We have not seen a budget. We don't know what's in it yet.
Yes, ma'am. Would you agree that all of y'all do talk on the sides and there's no money there right now?
I've talked to the street department. I've talked to the engineers. We have not seen a budget, so I can't even tell you what's in it.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
that was a false statement.
Yes, ma'am.
And would you agree that prior to February 15th, I was in support of this zone change?
No, ma'am. When I spoke with you and the gentleman next door at the property, you said you was out of town and you wouldn't be voting on this subject. And it got deferred then. So no, ma'am, that is not what was said. You said you was not voting on it. You'd be out of town.
I was letting you know that. But did I sit there and say I'm against this zone change?
You
Did I
never
say-
said you was for it,
Correct.
ma'am.
Thank you. February 15th changed a lot of things for a lot of people. And I know that you've invested in this property, but when I'm standing in people's homes in 3 and 4 feet of water, when they don't know how they're going to pay to fix it, and now they're facing it again, I can't responsibly be in favor of something like this.
You should have your street department in that hole cleaning that basin out right now.
They did. They were
No.
out there yesterday.
No,
Yes, sir,
ma'am,
they
we was
were.
in there. There's cars in that hole. There's old trucks in that hole. There's trailers in that hole.
There's no reason to argue with you.
No,
I'm not in
ma'am.
favor of this.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Rita? Thank you very much. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 67? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 67? Coach? If you would give us your name and you have 5 minutes.
Good evening, City Council. Thank you very much for letting me speak here today. My name is Todd Hood. I reside at 175 West Concord, which is very adjacent to the property we're discussing here with Mr. Rita. This is concerning for me for numerous reasons, but the most concerning is safety of our families. Prior to the zoning change at the request, and the residents in our neighborhood have experienced multiple, and I mean multiple safety issues, as well as horrendous flooding, as which we discussed here today. The flooding where evacuation took place and lives utterly destroyed, and the people that did return only to fund the rebuilding for themselves. I'd like to alert everyone here on this board here today, the City Council, of the dangerous curve for this rezoning location. And I want you to understand some of these accidents that has happened. I want you to be aware of this. Okay, so there's been one teenager that was clipped by a car walking to his grandmother's house, which actually was actually my son. Thank God he's okay. A fire hydrant last month got completely run over and destroyed, and we were out of water for 8 hours, and the city did a great job of fixing that. A Dodge Ram truck ran through the curb, getting stuck in my yard, which is just 2 houses down, which is yards from what we're talking about here. 2 people have been arrested for reckless driving, and tow trucks have been called to pull their cars out of mine and my neighbor's yards. Twice, Mr. Curtis, which is located at 177 West Concord, his fence has been completely run through. Twice, cars have run over the sidewalk, destroying the guardrail and the AT&T communication box. Now, let me remind you, I'm talking about cars are not running off the road. These cars are running off the road over the sidewalk into people's yards, running over the guardrail. Now, the guardrail has not been fixed because the city has done a great job. They come out the other day and fixed it because they didn't put a guardrail up. They didn't put a guardrail up because they know it's going to get tore down again. So they did brought in some dirt and leveled out so they can run into someone else's yard, house, or the telephone pole that's located there. So that was actually a good move. They did a great job with the yard work, they really did. Also, 5 times Mr. Dana Fusel's mailbox has been knocked down, which is right adjacent yards within the zone that we're talking about. He can't be here tonight, but he does have a letter on file that I read on the website here before I got here today, so that is posted. We do have over 100 signatures in our neighborhood that's opposed to this zoning change. We have over 60 families in the West Concord that are displaced, that are no longer there, not living there, and some of them are not coming back because of the flooding issue. I would also like to state my biggest concern is safety and the obvious flooding issue that needs to be addressed in this location. There's a road sign denoting dangerous curves ahead with a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, which is posted 10 to 15 yards in front of this zoning change that he wants to go from R2 to R4. Okay, yards. 20-mile-an-hour turn, curves everywhere, right in this dead man's turn. As I've stated above, accidents have occurred within feet of the proposed zoning change. Mr. Rita's proposed multi-family unit sits right in this dangerous curve. To add more vehicles entering and exiting this blind curve would be disastrous. In addition, pedestrians walking their dogs and children riding their bikes increases the risk of accidents and injuries that could be life-threatening, which is obvious from what I stated to you, which has been over 14 incidences that I've reported to you today. Those are the ones that I know about. I'm not home all the time. I just got a Ring camera, which I've caught some. But in the past, there's been yards run through and other things that I don't even know about. I'm asking the city council to consider the health and well-being of the residents of our street before passing this zone change. Safety is important and lives matter, and that is why this request should be denied. This location was originally for single-family residential, and it was never meant to be rezoned for a multi-family residential district. And now you can see why. I'd appreciate your vote. Decline this for an R4 zone. Keep it an R2 zone. I would also like for you to look into the flooding, the culverts, the runoff water, the no embankments, and the safety issue that we've talked about here tonight. Please help the homeowners who are already experiencing these issues, and you may save a life or more with your no vote here today. I'm a 39-year resident of Clarksville. I thank you for your time, your cooperation. I thank you so much for serving our community. I know it's hard work, and I truly appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Any questions for Mr. Hood? Hang on just a minute. We may have questions.
Yes, sir.
Any questions for Coach Hood? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak against Ordinance 67? If you would, give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Yes, Ronnie Houghton, 676 Vaughn Road. Even though that I don't live in that area, I have looked at it online, and it is a dangerous thing that if you try to approve of it. That S shape is a very dangerous thing. You've got flooding issues that are going to be there. The people that are going to live there are going to have a hard time. And I've looked at Facebook. I've looked at what a lot of people have been saying about this, and there is a large group that says deny this, please. Don't let it go through. And I wanted to say that infrastructure is key to the success or failure of a property. So infrastructure first before homes. Please deny this. There's a lot of people that don't want this. So please help those future residents who are going to live there. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Houghton? Okay, we are now ready for rebuttal. If you're in favor of Ordinance 67 and wish to rebut anything that's been said, we have room for one person. You have 3 minutes. If you would, give us your name, and you have 3 minutes.
My name's Ricky Rita. I am back up here to talk about some of the city council blaming the developers for the infrastructure issue, denying zonings. Last time I checked, they're providing adequate and stormwater infrastructure. That is your jobs. They are tasked with providing safe and adequate access and streets. If these things are failing, it is the failure not to have proactively and properly planned development infrastructure for growth. rather than talking about how bad things are, ask the developers how we can fix it with the zone, how maybe we can fix that spot. I've got to ask, there was city council people that are speaking today that were on this city council back in the day, and when Clarksville Now put this article out, it talked about the curves that we're speaking of. But I ask, is it in the 2020 transportation plan? If not, why didn't the council person and our predecessors ask that when they passed that? Why not use this as an opportunity to say, yes, is it on the 2020 plan if this curve is so bad? It's not. It's being hypered up. It's not that bad. It's seeable. It was passed right here. And if it's not on the 2020 plan, then it don't seem to be a problem. Today, our stormwater, it's in the pits, and I'm running on that slogan. You guys need to come up with a fix on these fixable holes. Thank you. Are there any questions?
That's my line. Any questions for Mr. Rita? Apparently the mayoral campaign has begun. All right. If you're against ordinance 67 and wish to offer rebuttal, we have room for one person. All right, we're now ready for item C, ordinance 68, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Hunter Wynn. If you're in favor of ordinance 68, anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 68? If you would, give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Hi there, I'm Jake Welch. Here to speak in favor for the zoning request of R2 A zoning. It is currently 3 lots now as R1. As you know, it's probably at the end of the Sladen Circle road there. It's lower than any house in the subdivision. What I'm trying to do, I had to make some improvements on the stormwater and sewer. The sewer was in the middle of the lot, so I moved it back to the back of the lot, and then the stormwater coming out in the front of the lot was kind of eroding the road. So I extended it to the back, and I'm asking for this request to help with the setback off of the storm drain that goes on the right side of lot 2. This being said, the grading sidewalks can be done after that is completed, and this will help with the proper zoning setbacks to add the extra lot. I do have some plans of the houses that I want to build and a layout of the lots. I don't know if y'all want to see it or not, or can pass that around.
If you've got it,
Yes.
you've got 3 minutes and 35 seconds. If you'll hand that to Lieutenant Gill. Okay, just one set, so we'll just circulate it.
Yeah, just circulate. And it too, by doing this, it'll help, as you know, all material, labor costs have went up. It'll help offset some cost of the improvements that I'm having to make of the property. Because that subdivision there, a lot of the houses are around the $300,000 to $400,000 range. This making smaller lots, making smaller houses, which 4 only, not anymore, will help make it more affordable for younger families to move in that neighborhood and grow. As you know, from the time that subdivision was developed and now, there's been a lot of changes and a lot of things that need to be done to help a little more of this infill development change to help growth and all the people moving here. Do you have any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Welch? Councilman Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So R2A from R1, we discussed this last week. It's an entire sea of R1. I mean, do you really think R2A fits in that area?
I think it does, just because if you're, moving it closer to the road versus the R1, you know, I think it's 50 feet off the road versus 35, and then you got 10 off each side, with that storm drain going through that side lot. You know, it'd have to be a little smaller house and further off the road, so that's gonna help push it closer to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't agree because it's to build a bunch of small houses in this area. It's just not a good characteristic for the neighborhood. R2A. We know how the rezone creep happens. You know, we approve one rezone and then you know, you see it peppered throughout the area and be like, oh yeah, like for example, like what happened with the R6 rezoning when that first popped up. But if y'all to the council, if y'all just do an experiment, just drive through the neighborhood. Most people that live there for a really, really long time, and it's a very special neighborhood. That whole area. If you look at the houses, you'll notice that there's a lot of additions to the house. So people typically don't move; they do additions and they do improvements. And I just feel like this is not something that will complement the neighborhood. Thank you.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate you bringing that for us to look at. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'll kind of quote somebody's earlier on the record. You already know this is one I am opposed to.
Right.
But I know one of the things that was discussed when it came before the Regional Planning Commission, because I know one of the reasons you guys are trying to do this is in regard to the setbacks.
Right.
But there is the opportunity for you guys to work with the Regional Planning Commission staff to look at potentially having a variance.
Right.
So that you can work, understanding that that is a kind of odd shaped lot there.
Yeah.
And I know that your intention is to change it from 3 to 4 lots.
Right.
But the problem I also have with it is that not only can it go to be the 4 lots, it could actually go up to, I think Mr. Tyndall said 5 or 6 lots that you could have based on this rezoning. So for me, kind of echoing behind the representative from Ward 7, being that it is a C of R1 that you do have there, I feel like it's too substantial of a jump.
Right, I got you.
And that's just kind of where I come, but like I said, I do appreciate you passing that
Yeah,
out.
it's kind of pie shaped, you know, so if I could slide it up, I would have to do a little, you know, smaller house for a footprint. And that's why I was trying to get to the R2A. I know it is a big jump, from R1 to that, but.
Well, I would encourage you, if this does not pass tonight, or if it passed tonight and doesn't pass the second reading, I would encourage you to try and work with the Regional Planning Commission staff.
Right.
I think they would be willing to look at that and try and help you create a solution to be able to still at least develop the 3 lots that are there, while
Right.
still fitting with the rest of the neighborhood.
Right.
So-
Is there a way to vote to pull it from this to reapply, or maybe to rerun it as a different zoning, or?
I mean, if you would like to ask us to send it back to the Regional Planning Commission with a different zoning, you can. I
Right.
don't know how anybody would vote on it the second time around, but if there's a
Right.
different zoning you would like to have considered, then just, you can tell us what it is. And as I've done for other people that have come before us, I would make the motion and allow the council to vote how they chose to vote about sending it back to the Regional Planning Commission to look at it with a different zoning.
If that's a possibility, I'd like to.
I just need to know what zoning you'd like
Probably
that to
to
be.
like a R2. I mean, I know that's 60 feet, because a R1A, I don't know if that would help as much.
I can't
Yeah.
make that decision for you. I just, if R2 is what you would
Yeah,
like.
if we could do that for R2.
Like I said, we've done it for others. I'm willing to
Right.
make the motion and let the decision fall with the councils.
Okay, well, I'd
Okay.
like to do that if
All
possible.
right. Thank you.
Councilman Haywood, you're recognized.
I can't tell from the map. Is this currently undeveloped?
Yes,
And you said it's lower than all the other property on the land or
Correct.
around it.
yes.
It kind of makes me think that this property collects rainwater and runoff water from all the property around it.
Well, it has like a drainage ditch in the very back.
Yeah.
It's got a bank, which the neighbor to the left, he's got a culvert that it flows on to the back side, and then the neighbor across the street, it catches right in his front yard and then shoots. But so like I said, it was coming in the front yard of the lot, so
Yeah.
I was going to extend it to the back to hit the natural
Okay. And it
flow
does,
of drainage in the back.
does it? Do you know where it would run off? Like if you said you're grading it to bring it up even with everyone else,
Yeah.
Where
won't-
would it run off?
would still go on the lower end of the property.
Okay.
It wouldn't change that direction. I'd just build it up and it would slope towards the back.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any more questions for Mr. Welch? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of ordinance 68? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 68? Please come forward, give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Yeah, my name is Robert Brady, and I live at 1249 Sladen Circle at the intersection of Hillwood and Sladen. Thank you, Mayor and council members, for letting us speak. I'm here with 95 of our neighbors that have come together in opposition to the proposal for this rezoning, primarily because of what has already been said in many of these cases by Councilman Holloman regarding our very unique characteristic of our neighborhood. There is some history there. I'm not sure if anyone's aware of the history in our neighborhood. Hillwood subdivision was platted by Austin P. VII and his brother John P. In the 1950s to 60s. I remember seeing the plat map. We own Austin P. VII's house. We're the third owners of it. And our neighborhood has just got a very unique characteristic in that all the plots, everybody has large lots, and the houses have been meant for long-term growth. You've already identified the many generations that live in there. Our community is much older, but we do have a lot of families as they continue to live in that area. And so our biggest concern is that we saw this happen about 2 years ago, where we had a developer want to come in and go from R1 to R6. And that was it was just too hard to imagine going where neighbors are so far apart that, we don't even have fences. We just walk to each other's neighbors and you got to pack a lunch to get to them, kind of concept, to have 6 buildings right next to each other. And we feel like making these lots get smaller is just going to bring more of this into this concept and just change it dramatically. It would definitely kind of ruin that, all the work that has been gone into the neighbors' houses that they've built for us and stuff. Some of the notes that they wanted me to talk about, again, the existing homes in our neighborhood are primarily single-family dwellings on large lots, consistent with our R1 zoning designation. The proposed R2A zoning, which allows for smaller lot sizes and increased density when introduced housing that is fundamentally incompatible with our already established character in our community. This change would negatively impact the aesthetic appeal and overall ambiance of our neighborhood, and I would kind of say it would also bring our values down from all the work that they put into it from the many years. Many retirees living in there have, obviously put a lot into their communities, and just making things smaller would decrease that amount of value that they put into it. We do have a very much an issue with our draining concerns. That area does drain down into the connection of the intersection at South Park Drive, I think is the area back there, Southern Hills Parkway. That area back in there does flood quite a bit. It hasn't become an issue for us because we're higher up on that hill, but now if we take away the permeable ground, we're going to be pushing that water back into that area. So that property is that's obviously a concern for people bigger than us. We don't have anything that we know of engineering wise that can solve that issue other than more plants and more things to absorb that water. Approving the rezoning application will set that precedent for similar developments. We know we have watched this city grow, and we love it. We're seeing everything. I was assigned here in 2007 and retired, and I call this home now, and watched you guys grow this community, and I really appreciate that you're trying to maintain a character that stays and identifies with it in the idea of the burgeoning growth that we have to have. But in this case, it just seems to be opportunistic to come into a community that has existed since the 50s and has an established character to say, well, we can squeeze something in here and make it work. Well, who does it work for? It doesn't work for the community. It works for those 1 or 2 people that might profit off of that. We don't want that to happen for us. And also we consider, I know this is kind of maybe a little off the rails to think about, but that community, because of its established nature and the mature trees and the mature landscape that it is a conduit for the animals. We have bald eagles, we have foxes, we have numerous deer. They're not burdensome to us. We enjoy them in our community because they're part of that community, and they make their way through Sladen Circle and off of Hillwood Drive and down on over into Liberty Park. And they make a trip in the morning time and they make a trip in the evening time. And we all have pictures on our walls in our homes of this wildlife. The more we populate that area with homes, we're going to lose that that aesthetic. And I don't know what would happen to the animals kind of thing, as I'm obviously concerned about that. And finally, I understand there is a proposal that there has to be sidewalks put in there. There are no sidewalks anywhere in our community. So that only would extend that sidewalk into that property line, bringing the perceived depth of what is now being brought forward, where all of our houses sit at the end of our lots. It would bring that even more forward, and a sidewalk that goes nowhere. It's just one sidewalk. So we would ask that the city council consider voting no for this to save our community from that type of growth. We don't mind growth. We'd like to see a house go in that spot, or we'd love to see a park go in that spot, kind of thing. But pending your questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brady. Any comment or question for Mr. Brady? You mentioned wildlife. Would you take some geese from Liberty Park?
They land in our area. Our house has one of the larger lots, and it turns into a pond. And they'll land in there and just hang out there. They'll have the deer and the geese, and they'll all be there. The ducks fly right over. And no, I won't shoot any out of the air. We like our geese.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mr. Brady. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 68? We offer time for rebuttal. If you're in favor of ordinance 68 and wish to rebut anything you've heard, you're welcome to come up. We can have one person, 3 minutes. If you would, give us your name again, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, I'm Jake Welch. So what he was saying about the drainage, I mean, like I was explaining before, the natural drainage is in the back of the lots. It's going down to 4813 there. It hasn't caused any effect after the 9 inches of rain we've had to any of the opposing neighbors. As he's speaking about the wildlife, they're still going to come in the yards. There's 3 lots that I can still build a house on. They'll still come and eat your plants. They'll feed them by hand, I'm sure. Eagles will fly and land in the trees. Also, the sidewalks is a good thing because it's kind of a bad curve there. So when I build these houses and I add the sidewalks, it'll give people the opportunity to get off the road and not get ran over, because there are a lot of people that walk their dogs, cats, whatever, through that neighborhood. I don't think it's going to change much in that neighborhood with adding one more house. Like I said before, it's just kind of helping those pie-shaped lots in the culvert that I have to extend through the lot, which since I've extended that has helped tremendously on the erosion control. But I think it would be a good thing for the community. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. We offer sir rebuttal, so if you're against ordinance 68 and wish to rebut anything you've heard, you're welcome to come forward. One person, and you have 3 minutes. All right, we're now ready for item D, ordinance 69, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Hunter Wynn. If you're in favor of ordinance 69, wish to speak in favor of ordinance 69, please come forward. Give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
I'm Hunter Wynn. I'm just looking to go from R1A to C2, just to do a little strip center or something there down the road. Y'all got any questions?
Okay, thank you. We do. Councilman Shekinah, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Hey, sir, I see you going from R1A to a C2. Do you have a plan for this development at all?
I don't know. Oh, I mean, I'm right there at the intersection of Tiny Town and Pembroke.
Yes.
I mean, I'm looking to put in maybe a strip center, liquor store, apply for a liquor store license down the road when they come out here soon. But, I mean, it's going to be commercial.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So in the past, I've gotten a bit of a reputation for being opposed to some stuff on Tiny Town, but that has purely been increasing residential density to Tiny Town until we can get the traffic situation under control with Transportation 2020. Spoke with the residents in the area, including one that actually shares a property line with this property, and they are all supportive of commercial. Based on some comments that were made at the executive session last week, I told them that I thought that you had planned to put a liquor store there, and and they're not opposed to a liquor store even. In fact, some of them had some great suggestions for what kind of liquor store would go there.
Yeah, close walk.
That's my neighborhood too. But they don't want to see residential there. And because this zone that you are requesting would allow residential, if this was a purely commercial zoning that you are requesting, I would have no problem supporting this. But after talking with the residents and the uncertainty about things like, a liquor license lottery and that sort of thing, I have to vote with them and vote against this. Thank you.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Nguyen, you talked a little bit about, at the Regional Planning Commission meeting, about some of the other properties along there.
Yes, ma'am.
I know you don't have a specific plan with what you're doing, but can you talk a little bit about what your intentions are through there, if you don't mind?
There's a property next to it that's coming up for sale. And then we had talked about coming off the light and doing a service road and coming up for traffic reasons. And that, what eventually goes up through there, I mean, you would have a service road.
So that would create, like you said, a service road versus several different lots
Yes.
with a lot of people
Yes.
turning in and out in
Yes,
front
ma'am.
and across traffic. All right, thank you, sir.
Any more questions for Mr. Nguyen? Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 69? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 69? Now ready for item E, Ordinance 72, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of F&M Bank. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 72? If you would give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. My name is David Gordon. I work for Mr. Ray, who is the agent for F&M Bank. We are needing to go from M3 to C5 in order to obtain a dealer license. We are looking to open a motorcycle vintage museum and classic car museum on that lot. Currently, we have 115 vintage motorcycles ranging from 1911 to 2025, and we have 109 cars ranging from 1926 to 2024s. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, did you say Thornton is your last name?
Gordon.
Gordon?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry. Councilman Shekinah, you're recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. No questions, but I'm in favor of this. This is in my ward, and the residents don't have a problem with the ones that I've spoken with that's nearby.
Thank you. Councilman Haywood, you're recognized.
On here it said used vehicle dealership. Is it not the deal? It's not dealership. It's both just strictly museums, or will you be selling?
Everything's for sale for the
Okay.
right price.
All right. That was my only question. I just wanted to know if there were going to be like everything on the lot, big stickers, balloons. But I got you. All right. That's it.
Any more questions or comments for Mr. Gordon? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 72? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 72? Item F, Ordinance 73, 2024-25, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Diane Clevenger Pinkstaff. Anyone in the audience wish to speak in favor of Ordinance 73? Anyone in the audience wish to speak against Ordinance 73? Yes, ma'am, if you'll give us your name, and you have 5 minutes.
I'm Denise Dudley. I live at 443 Bluff Drive, and I'm totally against rezoning. One main reason is Fantasy Lane is very narrow. It barely can handle 2 cars as it is now passing. A lot of us, including myself, are runners, walkers, and we cut through there. And then my other concern is Candlewood only has 2 exits to go out to hit Old Russellville Pike, and once you're on Old Russellville Pike, you only have 2 to get out on the main road on Cave Road. We already have new development over in Heritage and rental property off of Old Russellville Pike, which is all congested going to Russellville Pike, Cave Road to get to Donbar Cave. And it's just a backup. We were backed up on Cave Road the other day, which blocks the daycare center for them to get out. So my concern is all of our walkers and, like the other gentleman said, our deer, our turkeys. We have deer families. We have turkeys. That road is just not going to handle everything, and we're a single family residential area, and I'm against our whole community. Our little community over there is against it. Is there any other questions?
Did you say Dudley? I'm sorry, these old ears are having a hard time hearing
It's
tonight.
Dudley.
Okay.
D-U-D-L-E-Y.
Could I interest you in some geese?
No, we love our turkey and our
Okay.
deer.
All right.
And we also have 4 guineas.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any questions for Ms. Dudley? Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, I'm trying to solve a problem. All right. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak against ordinance 73? All right, that completes our planning commission public hearing. Councilman Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. As a reminder, Mayor, I make a motion that we go back into regular session.
Motion been made to revert to regular session, properly seconded. Without objection, we're now back in regular session. Councilman Streetman.
Thank you, sir. As a reminder, per the recommendation of our legal counsel, all motions are made in the form of an approval. Ordinance 66, 2024, 25, first reading, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Bill Mace for a zone change on property fronting north of westbound I-24, right-of-way and south of Tylertown Road, approximately 760 plus or minus feet east of Trenton Road and Tylertown Road intersection and across from Roscommon Way from C4 Highway Interchange District to C2 General Commercial District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended disapproval. I make a motion for approval.
Motion's been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 66.
Wait.
Councilman Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to clear one thing up. The speaker in favor of this application mentioned that the future land use opinion map is just an opinion and it's not set in stone. The future land use opinion map is found within the comprehensive plan that was passed last May, and that is set in stone. And if you read 2 lines above that line in the RPC's recommendation reasoning, they clarify that this request is not consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville-Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to clarify one thing. As I said I would do, I did check, and instead of trying to scroll through it all and check for myself, I just went right to Mr. Tyndall and checked with him in regards to the homeless shelters and RV parks. Homeless shelters can't go in C4 or C2, and the RV parks, I didn't think that they could either. The only way it would be is if it was a conditional use. But like I said, I did state that I would try to get that information and share it with everyone else. I voted against this at the Regional Planning Commission. There's been nothing to change my mind on it. I'll still be voting against this tonight.
Any more comment or question regarding ordinance 66? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
0 yes, 13 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 66 fails. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Ordinance 67, 2024, 25, first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville. Application of Rick Rita Home Builders, Inc. for a zone change on property north of West Concord Drive from R2 Single Family Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 67. Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll try not to repeat all the comments that I made last week on this. And I understand the frustration of Mr. Rita, but when you're looking at 66 people who are displaced from the adjacent apartments, and the several homeowners that live on either side of the ditch. Some of the people that live on the Kirby Drive side are here tonight. It's not responsible for us, and yes, again, we don't have a budget in front of us to know what we have planned, but I believe that there is going to be some items in there that may address some of the flooding concerns. But we can't tell God how much rain to drop on us. We have had more measurable rain in the first few months of this year than we've had in all of last year and the year before. And we can't plan or mitigate for that. And several of us are facing constituents that are going to lose everything yet again this week, that lost everything in February, and in some cases had the same exact issue last May. And again, it's rain that we can't predict that's coming. And I understand that these parcels are already zoned R2. We'd rather have, already zoned R2. We'd rather have two homes there, if anything, at this point, less density. But it was discussed, I believe, I can't remember if this planning commissioner, our meeting last week, that one of the engineers was talking about how this is a higher elevation property, it's less likely to have water on it, et cetera. Well, what we have seen with past zoning cases where property has built up an elevation, that water goes somewhere, goes to the adjacent properties. In this case, it goes to the drainage ditch between Kirby and West Concord. We had a very similar zoning case to this last year over off of Ashbury and Shawnee by Fire Station 6, where they wanted to rezone to a higher density. And we voted against it because we weren't sure how that water was going to impact the existing neighbors, especially down the hill where the water goes that affects Bunker Hill, Saratoga, Shawnee Terrace, and Ashbury. So we've been consistent in that. It's a tough spot, but the right thing to do is to vote no on this for higher density. It's not like he can't build anything there. He could also wait, and I've said this multiple times. Prior to February 15th, there was really no good reason for me to object to this except for the curve, which, could be drawn into the concerns that the street department has. But we can't control the rain. We can't control the flooding. Everything changed for me on my thought process after February 15th because the houses on Kirby have never flooded before. Never flooded before. And we saw water rescues, the Clarksville Fire Department doing water rescues on Kirby, on Concord, in Woodstock, and all over my ward. And I would have never thought we would have needed water rescues away from bodies of water. So I just ask that you all please vote no on this. I know the neighbors would appreciate it. And let's just literally, I pray that nobody else has severe flooding this week. And I've been doing a lot of talking to God and Jesus out loud. My husband said I speak loud enough for them to hear me anyway. But we need some relief. Our people need some relief. It's very difficult looking at a family with 4 smart children, a brand new baby, and they don't know where they're going to go. Fortunately, Office of Community Services thinks they found a temporary solution, but they don't have the money to rebuild their house just for it to flood again. So I just ask that you please vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comment or question regarding this ordinance? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, take the vote.
0 yes, 13 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 67 fails. Councilman Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 68, 2024-25, first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Hunter Wynn for a zone change on a parcel fronting on property south of Sladen Circle from R1 Single Family Residential District to R2A Single Family Residential District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended disapproval. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 68. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
As per the applicant's request, I'd like to make a motion to refer this back to the Regional Planning Commission to be reconsidered as an R2.
Motion been made and properly seconded to re-refer ordinance 68 back to the Regional Planning Commission. Comment or question regarding this motion to re-refer? Councilman Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. We don't need to refer this back to the RPC. I think we need to vote this down now. I mean, if you look at this, like compared to other rezones we've had in the past, this is like a no-brainer. It's an R1 area. It needs to stay R1. So please vote down the referral and please vote down the rezone. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comment or question regarding the motion to re-refer ordinance 68 to the Regional Planning Commission? Seeing none, we are voting on the motion to re-refer ordinance 68 to the Regional Planning Commission. Every member, please cast your vote as soon as we get it on the board. While you're doing that, anybody interested in geese? I could.
Don't people have goose for Christmas dinner?
They sure do.
I'll go down there and
Cook goose. Maybe not. Okay. We're voting on the motion to refer ordinance 68 to the Regional Planning Commission. Every member, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
8 yes, 5 no, 0 abstain.
Motion to refer passes. We're now on ordinance 69. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Ordinance.
That's her line.
You're not recognizing me to sell geese, right?
No, please. That's my job.
Ordinance 69, 2024, 25, first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Hunter Wynn for a zone change on a parcel fronting on the south frontage of Tinytown Road, south of the Tinytown Road and Pembroke Road intersection from R1A, Single Family Residential District, to C2, General Commercial District. The Regional Planning Commission staff recommended disapproval. The Regional Planning Commission recommended approval, and I so move.
I don't think we voted on the main motion on the previous zoning case. We voted on the sending back to the planning commission. Oh, I apologize. I'm asleep.
That's okay. That's all right.
Sorry, geese.
It's the geese.
Two geese, sorry.
That's quite all right. The motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 69. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 69? Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. As you can see, the staff, while the staff did recommend that for disapproval, I know one of the things Mr. Tyndall had talked about was he thought it would be better suited if it was M1, whereas I know myself as a regional planning commissioner felt that the commercial aspect made much more sense with it being right across the street. So you already had that in the area, and I know that it was stated that there was concern in the ward of it developing as residential. It can develop as residential right now. It's already zoned for an R1A. For me, what I appreciated was the fact that although the staff looked at this as a con, I looked at it as a pro, as this would be a commercial property that would be right there where the light is to allow the traffic to move in and out of there safely, especially if the plan is to further develop along there. My wish is that we would have more of these access road opportunities versus what we see out on Wilma Rudolph Boulevard, to where it's every single lot along there is an entrance in and out. So I'd like to look at this as an opportunity to where it could be developed in a way that's going to be safer for people to get in and out. As was mentioned, you know, they were asking what kind of liquor store would go there. And it was, you know, a little bit of joking back and forth with the representative and the applicant, and that yes, it would enable those residents in the neighborhood that you live in to be able to walk over to there. So for me, I like the thought of that you're kind of putting things where people can get to without having to drive in and out, and creating the safety factor of having the light right there, being able to intersect with it. So I'm in favor of this. I think this is a better change than going to what was thought of by the Regional Planning Commission staff as a better option. So I'll be voting yes on this one tonight.
Councilman Chandler, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is another one of those that, again, toss of a coin, and the main reason is, we'll give you a prime example about Tiny Town Road. I live out off Dover Road, and I ordered a pizza on Tiny Town Road on the far end. Went to get it, of course, I went out Fort Campbell Boulevard on Tiny Town Road. An hour and 45 minutes later, I got the pizza and was back in the Providence. I don't care what's put in here, but one of the things that kind of gets me is when you ask somebody that's developing, somebody that wants something changed, well, where are you going to put that? Well, I don't know. Put a liquor store if I can. You know, you're asking this body to make a decision, and a major decision, with a I don't know. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. So in my opinion, for me, this is very similar to the Tylertown Road rezoning in the sense that this is also C2, which could allow for 34 multifamily residential units on it. And, you know, like the previous council member stated, we can be told all day long what plans to go there, but we have no idea. And the fact that the density issues along Tiny Town Road is something that we've been concerned about in the past. I'm still thinking about 34 apartments right there. And for that reason, I can't support this.
Councilman Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to briefly read from the RPC's recommendation reasoning. This request is not consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted comprehensive plan. I understand that adding a fourth leg to that traffic signal might seem like a positive thing to most, but the RPC actually included the possible introduction of a fourth leg to that traffic signal as a reason for their recommendation for disapproval, stating that it would possibly reduce the efficiency of the intersection by increasing signal cycle length and delays for all users. As for walking to any commercial establishment here, I wouldn't recommend anybody walk to a commercial establishment on Tiny Town with no sidewalks currently. And one of the residents that I spoke to is specifically planning to install a fence in their backyard this summer because this has become a popular cut through for some of the kids in the neighborhood to get to Tiny Town. It's a bad idea. I understand it's currently zoned residential. Single family residential is different than multifamily commercial residential, and I think that needs to be acknowledged as well. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Sidewalks on Tiny Town are in the Transportation 2020 plan. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you. I know I read the report, so thank you for putting that out there so that anybody else that didn't read it would know regarding the light. And I will still say that turning in and out of a light is going to be much safer than it is so that, again, you have the access road. I think that's how we should be looking at doing it in anywhere that we're trying to get different areas developed, including on the new Spring Creek Parkway. I think it should be access instead of being in and out of every business. So yes, I get that maybe it would make that light a little bit less efficient, but I'm quite certain that car wrecks that happen with cars turning in a business and turning in front of vehicles, I'm quite certain that they definitely interfere with the traffic. There are other areas in town. I can think of just one quickly right off the bat at Ted Crozier Boulevard and Wilma Rudolph. Not Wilma Rudolph, I'm sorry, Warfield. Goes right into, it accesses two businesses, that's it. And that's a fourth leg on the light. And there's others that you could easily mention that are throughout different wards. So to me, I have to think about the safety aspect of it as opposed to how much more inefficient it's actually going to make it. And again, one of the recommendations they talked about was that it would be better, and this would be in the meeting, and I know that from attending them, talked about it would be better if it was an M1. If you have an M1, you're still going to have something there. It's still going to connect to the light. It's still going to be a fourth leg. If you developed it as R1 and you had different homes in there, more than likely, it would be a road that comes from that. It would connect with the light. It would change how that works. So to me, that is a moot point, because it's not going to be any different than what this would be. So like I said, I'm still thinking about the safety aspect of if it's businesses and you're having a lot of traffic coming in and out, I would rather create that access road. So again, I'll be voting in favor of this.
Any more comment or question regarding ordinance 69? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
5 yes, 7 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 69 fails. Councilman Streetman?
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 72, 2024, 25, first reading. An ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of F&M Bank for a zone change on property located east of Old Russellville Pike, north of Stone Container Drive, from M3 Planned and Industrial District to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommend approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 72. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Just as I did last week and just I did at the RPC meeting, I want to clarify, in the past, I did work for F&M Bank, but I have not worked there in the last few years, so there is no conflict of interest for me to be able to vote on this item.
Any more comment or question regarding ordinance 72? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 72 passes first reading. Councilman Streetman.
Ordinance 73, 2024, 25, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Diane Clevenger Pinkstaff for a zone change on property fronting on the east frontage of Fantasy Lane, 325 plus or minus feet north of the Fantasy Lane and Candlewood Court intersection, from R1 Single Family Residential District to R3 Three Family Residential District. Both the Regional Planning Commission and the staff recommended disapproval. I make a motion for approval.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 73. Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you. Like the council member for Ward 7 mentioned on the zone case in his area, this would be introducing a new zoning classification to an area that's well established. Once we start changing classifications, we set precedent for future, and we should keep it the way it is and vote no.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I too agree with the previous speaker. I spoke on that, I think, last week. This is a substantial jump, and if you look at the map, as she pointed out, there is 0 R3 anywhere in there. In fact, across the street, you just have a one step, which is an R1A. So there is absolutely no way I could support this. I would like to ask if those that are here against this in the neighborhood, because I've had many people reach out to me on this, would y'all mind standing just for a quick second? And I'll also point out that there were quite a lot more that were planning on coming tonight, but as we're aware, we've had a lot of rain. We've got some residents that are very long-time residents in the area, and they were concerned about getting out in this. So I just want you to be able to see who we have here tonight, asking you to vote against it, and know that there are people watching this at home as well that are opposed. And I'll ask once again to please vote against this one tonight. Thank you.
Any more comment or question regarding ordinance 73? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
0 yes, 13 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 73 fails. Councilman Streetman.
Yes, Mayor, if you would allow me, I do want to clarify an earlier statement that I made in regard to the ordinance 66. In regard to ordinance 66, 2024, 25, that it was, and it was my fellow council member that pointed out to me, I did make the comment that it was conditional, and I said I was uncertain if the homeless shelter could go in there, but it would have to be conditional in order to be able to go in there. And again, I apologize. I was trying to get that information very quickly from the director. I probably misunderstood that in what was sent to me. So I just wanted to make clear of that.
All right, like the teamwork. Okay, we're now ready for the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, please read the consent agenda.
All items in this portion of the agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council and may be approved by one motion. However, a member of the council may request that an item be removed for separate consideration under the appropriate committee report. Ordinance 55, 2024, 25, second reading, an ordinance accepting the donation of certain real property from the Main Street Investments Tennessee Group property to the city of Clarksville for the purpose of a sewer pump station. Ordinance 57, 2024, 25, second reading, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Rita Home Builders Incorporated for a zone change on property fronting on the north frontage of Airport Road, 155 plus or minus feet east of the eastern intersection of Airport Road and Tandy Drive from R4 Multiple Family Residential District to R2A Single Family Residential District. Ordinance 59, 2024, 25, second reading, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of Mike Greenfield for a zone change on a tract of land south of the Ashland City Road and Chesterfield Drive intersection from C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District, R4, Multiple Family Residential District to M1 Light Industrial District. Ordinance 61, 2024, 25, second reading, an ordinance amending the zoning ordinance and map of the city of Clarksville, application of RL Home LLC for a zone change on property south of Britton Springs Road, east of Center Road, from RM1 Single Family Mobile Home Residential District to R4 Multiple Family Residential District. Resolution 47, 2024, 25, a resolution approving appointments to the Board of Equalization, Human Relations Commission, Public Building Authority, and Senior Center Board. Resolution 48, 2024, 25, a resolution approving a certificate of appliance for sale of wine in a food store at Tennessee Butcher Company, LLC, doing business as New York Butcher Shop, located at 2720 Madison Street, Suite E, Clarksville, Tennessee. Resolution 49, 2024, 25, a resolution approving a certificate of compliance for sale of wine in a food store at Twice Daily, number 49, located at 1820 Fort Campbell Boulevard, Clarksville, Tennessee. Resolution 50, 2024, 25, a resolution approving a certificate of compliance for sale of wine in a food store at Twice Daily, number 69, located at 100 Alfred Thune, Clarksville, Tennessee. Resolution 51, 2024, 25, a resolution approving a certificate of compliance for sale of wine in a food store at Twice Daily, number 33, located at 600 Rossview Road, Clarksville, Tennessee. Resolution 52, 2024, 25, a resolution approving a certificate of compliance for sale of wine in a food store at Twice Daily, number 11, located at 2220 Madison Street, Clarksville, Tennessee. Resolution 53, 2024, 25, a resolution approving a certificate of compliance for sale of wine in a food store at Honest Incorporated, doing business as Quick Stop, located at 630 Tiny Town Road, Suite 105, Clarksville, Tennessee. Adoption of minutes for March 6, 2025.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion in a second. Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of the consent agenda. Anyone wish to be recognized on the consent agenda? Councilman Peters, you're recognized.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask that we pull item D from consent agenda.
Item B is
D, as in
D.
David.
Okay. All right.
We're still waiting on the RPC to come back with their overlay, so I think we should hold off on any vote that we do for this.
Okay, we'll take that up right after the consent agenda. I'll come to you for explanation.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to be recognized on the consent agenda? Madam Clerk, if you will, register me a no on item B, ordinance 57. All right, we're now voting on the consent agenda. All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Consent agenda has been adopted, and now we're going to take up item D, which is ordinance 61. Councilman Peters, you pulled that. You're recognized.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor and Council, I just want to say that we're waiting on an overlay back from the Regional Planning Commission for how we're going to redo this whole area. It's in my ward. A lot of tornado damage over there, and I just hate to see us just throw something in there, a bunch of duplexes and stuff like that, just to fill the gaps. You know, this gives us an opportunity to really change this area for the better. And I just think that we need to step back from this just for a bit until we can get this plan back from the Planning Commission, so that we can put our best foot forward on this. I just don't think we should just willy-nilly vote this and approve this. That's just how I feel about this. We need to wait for a plan.
And you have a motion.
For approval.
Motion for approval for ordinance 61. Do I hear a second? Properly second, excuse me. Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. To the council member from Ward 3, to add on to his comments, we've been pretty consistent in trying to push off rezonings in the tornado path until the Planning Commission did have a plan. We all noticed that there's a public meeting coming up to discuss the Britton Springs development area, and that's in a few weeks, and I think it would be prudent to be consistent and also vote no on this until we have a plan. Thank you.
Okay, any more comment or question regarding ordinance 61? Councilman Haywood, you're recognized on ordinance 61.
Did this same developer develop R4 right across the street?
Anybody know the answer to that question?
I think that's what he had said when he came up to brief this one. Was we had rezoned R4 right across the street. I think 3 or 4 months prior. I'll yield to Councilwoman from.
Councilman McLaughlin, do you wish to shed any light on that?
So the city and county lines meander over there, and I believe that was on the county side of the line and not the city side of the line. We have no control over the county side of the line, but I think you're right.
Councilman Haywood?
I'm good. All right,
Okay.
appreciate it.
Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is currently zoned RM1 to go to R4. So, I mean, to me, this is actually creating a safer opportunity for people to be able to live over there in that area versus living in the mobile homes. We actually passed this 9-2, if I'm looking at that correctly. Yeah, we only had 2 no votes against this one last month. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-2. Sorry. When we looked at this last month, so to me, this one again it makes sense to me. I think we should actually just move forward with it on this second reading and vote in favor of it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brown, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Looking at the city limits there, the lot that's kind of catty corner to it, the big R4 area, that is inside the city limits. The one that is straight across the street from it behind those lots there, that is outside the city. So the big area that was zoned R4 or R1 up at the top is inside the city. So the R1, that R4 is going to be outside the city.
Okay, Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
I unselect my button. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Any more comment or question regarding ordinance 61? All right, seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? We're voting on ordinance 61. Approval of, the motion was made to approve ordinance 61 on second reading. Okay, all members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
6 yes, 7 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 61 fails. We're now ready for the Finance Committee report. Chairman Streetman.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 54, 20, 24, 25, An ordinance to amend the official code of the city of Clarksville, Title I, Administration, Officers, and Personnel, Chapter 9, City Court, Section 1-909, reserved to create a section relative to municipal court expunctions and fees. Finance and Public Safety Committees voted in favor of approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 54. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 54? Councilman Chandler, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. If I recall last week when this was brought up, Ernie was here and the question was brought up about if the person was found not guilty or it was dismissed, would we still charge them? And he wasn't very sure about it. Of course, Councilman Brown said that in General Sessions Court, we had extensive knowledge, said that they don't charge for them. I happened to run into a couple attorneys last weekend and asked them what their feelings were about it, and they said, well, we don't quite think if you're found not guilty or it's dismissed without cause that you could actually charge somebody to have it expunged. Back years ago, I used to do background checks for the police department, and those things would come back to haunt you in some instances if it was a real close vote on who's going to get the job. So even with it just appearing, whether it was, still on their record. So I would like for us to postpone this until we can get a definite answer of whether or not we're going to say if it's dismissed or if you're found not guilty, we do not charge.
Well, this is first reading. Would you be open to allowing first reading to go forward for a vote? And if it passes, then try to get an answer before second reading?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Councilman Chandler?
No, sir.
Okay. Councilman Brown, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, in General Sessions and Circuit Court, if it's dismissed, the clerk's office does not charge a fee for the expungement because you've been found not guilty. What the city clerk's office city court brought up was that the state statute that was created for this did not give them authority to expunge something that was dismissed. And that's just one of them things that shows up after the state legislature puts a bill out, that you find other little nuances that they need to go back and fix the next year. And so that's what was brought up then, was that the state statute that gives them the authority to do an expungement on city court charges, it did not give them the authority for something that was dismissed. Now, he did say that he did not think he could charge somebody for that if it was dismissed. But that's something we may need to try and get the legislature to fix next year with the amendment to it or something. But I can see somebody's been charged with something, it was dismissed, it's still gonna show up. So those background checks are gonna find that and then, bring that up. So that could be a problem, and that's something that would have to be addressed.
We could seek out a legal opinion as to whether we are allowed perhaps to amend this ordinance if it survives first reading, to allow to specifically say we would not charge those who have been found not guilty or it's been dismissed. Councilman Chandler, you're recognized.
Mayor, I think they gave us the authority to charge is what that was intended for. I don't think it said that you had to. It just gave you the authority to charge for expungements.
That's a great point.
I'd
Councilman.
like to refer to the council.
Okay. Mr. Bittner, if you don't mind, provide some clarity.
Okay, so we're referring to Tennessee Code Annotated 16-18-302. The first point is the municipal court has jurisdiction over the expunsion of a conviction for violation, so it is just a conviction that we have authority over under the code. And the second part of the question, it is a may charge, so you do not have to charge for it, but you may charge for it.
Councilman Chandler?
That's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. As we talked about last week, this was calculated based on the amount of time that it takes the staff to be able to go through this process and get it done. And while I understand there's some questions in wanting to look at the possibility if somebody is not charged or if the charges are dismissed or found not guilty, but I would like to see us at least move this through the first reading, and then you can reconsider it on the second reading, because there has been several that have been involved in working on this process to be able to get it done.
Any more comment or question regarding ordinance 54? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
11 yes, 2 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 54 passes first reading. Chairman Streetman.
Ordinance 62, 2024, 25, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to conduct negotiations and to enter an agreement for purchase of a right-of-way and easements, or should negotiations fail, to pursue condemnation through use of eminent domain for acquisition of property for a public purpose for the city of Clarksville Needmore Road Improvement Project. The Finance Committee voted in favor of approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 62. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 62? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 62 passes. Chairman Streetman.
Ordinance 63, 2024, 25, an ordinance authorizing the city of Clarksville to convey real property contained within the public safety complex at Outlaw Field to Montgomery County, Tennessee for construction of an emergency medical service station. The Finance Committee voted in favor of approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and properly seconded in favor of ordinance 63. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 63? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 63 passes. Chairman Streetman.
Ordinance 64, 2024, 25, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into an agreement and acquire property for a public purpose for roadway improvements and to swap and convey City of Clarksville property in exchange thereof. The Finance Committee recommended approval or voted in favor of approval, and I so move.
And preemptively seconded, ordinance 64. Thank you. Any comment or question regarding ordinance 64? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Ordinance 64 passes first reading. Chairman Streetman.
Resolution 45, 2024, 25, a resolution authorizing Mayor Pitts to file with the U.S. Department for Housing and Urban Development the City of Clarksville's 2025-2029 Consolidation Plan, 2025-2026 Annual Action Plan, and the 2025-2026 Application for Community Development Block Grant Funds and Home Investment Partnership Program Funds. Both the Finance and Neighborhood and Community Services Committees vote in favor of approval, and I so move.
Motion been made and preemptively seconded on Resolution 45. Any comment or question regarding ordinance, Resolution 45? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 45 is adopted. Chairman Streetman.
Resolution 46, 2024, 25, a resolution requesting the Regional Planning Commission to study the Clarksville zoning ordinance subchapter 11.9 violations regarding penalties for violations thereof and return an ordinance for consideration by the Clarksville City Council. The Finance Committee voted in favor of approval, and I so move.
All right. Resolution 46 properly seconded. Motion and properly seconded. Any comment or question? Councilman Holloman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I had a question for the the chair of the finance committee. Just a simple question. So regarding the zoning violations, could you give me an example?
I mean, there could be a multitude of the zoning violations. It could be the flags that you see at businesses. It could be that they actually have the grass too tall, that they have cars parked in their yard when they shouldn't. It's a multitude of things that could fall under that. And as we talked about last week, even though that we can currently find them, we can only find them per occurrence versus per day. And also this isn't going to change the way our building and codes works with the property owners and those that are in violation of it. They're still going to try and work with them. This just could potentially create a last resort to be able to deal with the violation.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any more comment or question regarding this resolution? Seeing none, hearing none, are you ready to vote? All members, please cast your vote. Every member voted. Any member wish to change their vote? Madam Clerk, please take the vote.
12 yes, 1 no, 0 abstain.
Resolution 46 is adopted. Chairman Streetman.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Gas and Water Committee, Chairman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. The Clarksville Gas Department began work in mid-March to locate and identify existing natural gas infrastructure for GPS mapping and monitoring in the Sango area. The efforts in this area will take place over the next 2 to 3 months. However, the end goal is to complete the process throughout the entire gas system. Clarksville gas distribution technicians performed gas meter replacements throughout the system during the month of March in accordance with federal and state regulations. The Clarksville Gas Department recognized Natural Gas Utility Workers Day on March 18th by celebrating the natural gas workers with lunch. I was not invited. Tyler Hayes, Assistant Gas Manager, and Brandon Thomas, Gas Compliance Manager, hosted the Middle Tennessee Gas Distributors Association quarterly meeting in Nashville on March 13th. The Middle Tennessee Natural Gas Distributors Association is a voluntary association of natural gas distribution companies located in Tennessee and industry partners affiliated with the natural gas industry, and exists for the purpose of the mutual involvement, education, and furtherance of interests of individual members and their customers. This year, Tyler is serving as the president and Brandon is serving as the secretary of treasurer. So Clarksville is well represented at the state level. And lastly, second notice bills will be getting a new look starting this week. The second notice customer bills will be printed on a postcard mailer size 5.5 inches by 8.5, each being folded and sealed. So this is a difference. Previously, if you were past due on your Clarksville gas and water bill, you would get an envelope that looked like your regular statement, and a lot of people don't catch that. So it's going to look a little bit different. People will still, if they have their email on file, will get noticed by email if they are later past due as well. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? Neighborhood and Community Services Committee, Chairman Shekinah, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. The next meeting for the Community and Neighborhood Services Committee will be on Monday, the 14th of April at 4:30 p.m. in the 4th floor of the conference room of the City Hall. We had a Clarksville Homeless Coalition meeting on the 1st of April. Items discussed included formal structure of the group, briefings from the Pursuing Life Center, Operation Homework from the Irene Center, and then updates from the homeless support organizations in attendance. The next meeting for the Homeless Coalition will be on the 6th of May at 2 p.m. at YAPAC Outreach. We all know that it's raining and it's been storming this week. So council members, if you have any displaced families, please direct them to correspond with cmcresponds.org for assistance. That's the same link that we had last time in February. So this link is going to be going on for a while now. For any displaced family, any family that may experience any type of flooding in their homes or need some type of assistance, that's cmcresponds.org. Or you can contact our awesome Director of Community and Neighborhood Services. An updated list of resources are provided there. They have case management intake as well on this web link. And then lastly, you can follow the Community and Neighborhood Services on Facebook for more information about these topics as well as other topics. This concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? We're now ready for Parks and Recreation Committee. Chairman Zacharias, you're recognized.
The Parks and Recreation Committee and entire department would invite you to join us at the Fort Defiance Civil War Park on April 26th for a lesson on specifications of Civil War artillery and ammunition. Participants will learn about cannons and will be shown how to service a replica of a real 19th century cannon, learn how to perform dry demonstrations, and make a mini replica of canister ammunition. Registration is required, but participation is free. Get ready for the second annual Clarksville Greenway 8K race on May 3rd, a running event that showcases the scenic beauty of the Clarksville Greenway. And by the way, I just have to take a moment to mention, I don't know if you've seen some of the social media posts about this event and other stuff that Parks and Rec has coming up, but we've got an incredible team, and I'll be honest, they almost tricked me into running recreationally when I saw the ad, and that is no joke. Whether you're looking to challenge your running skills or enjoy a scenic run, the Clarksville Greenway 8K race offers an opportunity to connect with nature and the community. Registration is open to the first 500 participants. You must register by April 17th to be guaranteed a shirt. Experience 19th century living history demonstrations at Fort Defiance on May 10th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The event, hosted by the Friends of Fort Defiance, will feature Civil War camp life, musket and artillery firing, period cooking, and children's activities. This is a free event and registration is not required. And finally, if you would like to join the Parks and Rec team, we are currently looking for a grounds and facility maintenance assistant, grounds and facility maintenance technician, Parks and Rec superintendent, and event planning technician. And as always, for more information and a complete list of programs, classes, and ongoing activities, visit ClarksvilleParksRec.com or download the app available on the App Store or the Google Play Store. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any comment or questions regarding this committee report? Now ready for Public Safety Committee. Chairman Lovato, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Clarksville Fire and Rescue is hiring. You can fill out an application online at the city website. Clarksville Fire and Rescue would also like you to save the date. We are in the early stages of organizing a ribbon cutting for Station 6 on May 4th at 2 p.m. and the public is invited. Several CFR employees will be recognized later this month at the Star of Life Award ceremony for their life-saving actions on a rescue call. Those employees are Jaden Matthews, Jonathan Snyder, Tyler Bowles, Brian Steinsaltz, Joshua Lannon, and Oscar Jenkins. Building and Codes Construction Division did over 3,200 total inspections. Their Code Enforcement Division did almost 200 new cases. Their Abatement Division did 18 work orders, and their total revenue was over $418,000. Clarksville Police Department would like to congratulate K-9 Officer Pacheco, who was recognized by the Civitan Club for her accomplishments with CPD. Their Coffee with the Cop events were a huge success, and they would like to congratulate the 120 students who successfully completed the CPD GREAT program. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you. Any comment or question regarding this committee report? We're now ready for Transportation, Streets, and Garage Committee. Chairman Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. The TSG March reports are as follows. The Transportation Department transported a total of 43,963 riders for the month of March. On fixed routes, there was 39,801 riders, which includes 7,733 seniors who rode for free. Also, on paratransit buses, there was a total of 4,162 riders. Now we'll move on to the Street Department. And there was a total of 429 work orders for the month of March. Spring cleanup will begin on March the 31st and continue through March the 12th. Also, Ringo Road sidewalks are now 25% completed. On Whitfield Road and Nemo Road, final payment has been completed as well. We are now planning to bid the sidewalks for East Street and B Street beginning on April the 25th. We will now move on to the city garage. The total number of city work orders totaled of 363, and a few purchased by employees at the city garage on site fuel pumps. Unleaded cost was $69,345 for a total gallons of 32,115. Diesel cost was $19,055.74 for a total gallons of 8,000. Fuel costs for unleaded increased by 7.7% from $2.08 in February to $2.24 per gallon. Also, there was a decrease of 5.6% from $2.49 in February for a total of $2.35 per gallon. This concludes my reports. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Ready for the next item, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. I'll come to
Doing
you.
what I did.
All right. We're now ready for mayor and council member comments. Councilman McLaughlin, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to thank Ms. Jenkins for all of her work on the proclamation for Month of the Military Child and making sure that there was reserved seating. Thank you very much. I appreciate your help. And also, just a couple of events for Month of the Military Child that are actually happening in Clarksville. On Saturday, April 19th, the Dandelion Festival will be held at 458 Ringgold Road at the Family Life Center from 12 to 3. This is an event sponsored and put on by Blue Star Families. And MWR Kids Fest on Fort Campbell for Month of the Military Child is on Saturday, April 26th at Friar Stadium from 10 to 2. And then something I'm super excited about is that the Tennessee Compact sponsors a Purple Star School Award program. It's a whole application process and training for schools to be better prepared for military children. And at the April 22nd school board meeting, it will mark that every single CMCSS school is Purple Star School qualified, which is the largest district in the state to have a whole school system certified. So super excited. We know Clarksville is great, but just some events coming up. And then I just ask people to continue to pray that the water crests and we don't have any more flooding. Thank you.
Amen. Councilman Zacharias, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to take a moment to recognize one of my colleagues that's in the room. I was excited to read about the APSU Military Alumni Chapter creating the CW4 retired Joe Shekinab Military Scholarship Endowment.
Wow! That's a stand up. Yes.
As an educator and a veteran myself, it really warms my heart to see your continued service in the community, especially when it comes to higher education. So thank you very much for your efforts there. And then finally for me, I think we need to take a moment to recognize the department heads that are coming together in what is can only be described as an all-hands situation for the city of Clarksville. We know the rain has started, and we know that it's not going to stop for a while. I've seen Parks and Rec employees supporting the street department. Everybody is doing what they can, and it's a great team to be a part of. And thanks for making it easy to be proud of our city.
Deserves a round of applause, I believe. Thank you. Councilman Chandler, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Some of y'all already know about this. A couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. It had been on the low level for over 2 years. Back in December, They found that it had increased into the serious situation. I've been going through tests. I finally got my last test. It was a PET scan. Shows no cancer anywhere but the prostate. On late May, I will have surgery to have it removed. I've been given a guarantee that there shouldn't be any problems after that. I will be off my feet for a couple of weeks. And then the doctor said, as mean and rotten as you are, you probably be back throwing rocks. I'm not telling this for sympathy. I'm telling this to all men. You need to make sure. I have a great doctor, Dr. George Liu. It's twice. This man has saved my life. And you've got to go through with it. It's not fun, but please, please make sure that you are checked. Follow what your doctor says. Thank you.
Thank you. Words of wisdom. Councilman Lovato, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to piggyback off of some of the other council members and just say thank you to the street department workers who were in Woodstock delivering sandbags this week. The way that they spoke to those neighbors, they were genuinely kind, genuinely empathetic, and just had a huge heart and big muscles to help them get those sandbags in place. And to those residents, I just want to remind them that we understand that this is a frustrating and scary situation, and you are rightfully concerned, but please don't take those frustrations out on those city workers. They didn't put you in this position, so please return that kindness to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Streetman, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Mine's going to go in the same line that has to do with all the rain and everything that we've gotten. I just want to remind everybody especially with the rain that we've received, the additional rain we're going to be getting, as we already know it has happened in the past, we are going to have roads that get water over them. So I would ask, I'm going to read this statement here. Never drive or walk through through flooded areas. If you come to an area that is covered with water, you may not be able to tell what the depth of it is or the condition of the road or the ground underneath. And this is especially true at night when your vision is limited. It is never safe to walk or drive through flooded water. So I would ask you to please be very careful when you're seeing the water across the road. And, when in doubt, just turn around. It's not worth the risk of trying to cross across that water. Thank you.
Councilman Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I have two things I want to say. And I'm going to piggyback off of something that is already said. Nothing to repeat, but just to thank the city and the mayor for keeping an eye and monitoring subdivisions so that they won't be flooded again. We thank the city workers for that. And then I want to say this. Some of y'all are wondering why I'm trying to say second before time. It's because I'm tired. It's been a long day, not only here, but from home. You have things to do. And some of us, when we're talking about zoning issues, we repeat the same thing we just said when we spoke the first time. So to save our time, I believe my time is very valuable. I take my time, I take it serious. Because I have a lot to do, and I'm sure you do too. But the thing is, we shouldn't have to sit here and repeat the same thing over and over again. Some of y'all talk 10 minutes saying the same thing you just said from the beginning. This is no disrespect. This is to try to help us to understand. Be conscious of repeating yourself over and over again. I get calls from constituents. They say, why do they sit there and repeat themselves over and over again? I said, I don't know, but it prolongs the time. I will mention that. So we say the same thing. Oh, if you're going to say something, look, don't repeat the same thing. And I heard one of the persons say, I'm not going to mention everything I just said. I appreciate that. Let's not be repeats. Let's try to, if you got something to say, let it be something new, original. Say something, that's because look, I've been here too long. My time is valuable. I love what I do, but we need to be conscious of what we're saying. Stop repeating the same thing over and over and over again. Maybe some of y'all like to hear yourself talk, but I don't. Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Holloman, you recognize.
Thank you, Mayor. Can we get some, like, this is just a request, can we get some, like, trash cans underneath here?
Yep.
Just because I know, like, they took them away and, yeah. But, all right, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Councilman McLaughlin, you recognized.
Thank you, and to tag on to what a previous speaker said, let's also be prepared and read our documents, not ask questions that are answered in the documents that were given. Thank you.
Thank you. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. We have 1,400 of the best people working for the city of Clarksville all across every department. And I just want to publicly say thank you for the work they do. They are out in the middle of a storm, sandbagging, getting trees up while the rest of us are asleep. So thank you. That concludes our business. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Without objection, we're adjourned.